The Hypnobirthing Toolkit is a complete hypnobirthing and birth preparation course helping you to go into the birth of your baby with confidence and positivity. It's completely self-paced with pre-recorded videos, presentations, audios, PDFs, plus monthly live classes. It's a more affordable and flexible way to learn hypnobirthing and help you have the positive birth experience you deserve. Follow the link in the description below to begin your positive birth journey today. Hello and welcome to the Bell Mama Hypnobirthing and Positive Birth podcast. My name is Ellie Waddington. I'm a hypnobirthing teacher, antenatal instructor and positive birth coach, and I'm here to help you go into the birth of your baby with a positive mindset. Every week I share my top tips, advice and amazing birth stories to help you go from fearful and anxious about your birth to positive and confident. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and let's get into this episode. Hey gorgeous mama, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. This week we're talking all about the power of birth affirmations. Oh my god, my friend, seriously, affirmations are so powerful. They are one of my favourite things to talk about. They are one of my biggest worst kept secrets when it comes to changing the way that you feel about your body, about the birth process, about giving birth, about your ability to give birth. Affirmations are where it's at. They are so powerful. And what I love about affirmations is that they are something really simple and that anyone can do. You do not need to purchase anything. You don't need to be skilled at anything. You don't need to learn anything. You can literally use an affirmation just by saying it to yourself. Okay, so before we get into what affirmations are and how they work and how you can use them, I want to share with you a little poem. And you may be wondering, well, Ellie, why are you sharing poetry with us this particular week? Well, it's because I want to. I actually quite like poetry. I actually really like poems. And I have lots of favourite poems. I have like a different kind of favourite poem in each category of poetry, you know, like love poems or nature poems. And this one that I'm sharing with you today is my favourite parenting poem. This poem makes me feel so happy and blessed to be a mum. I actually have it printed and on display in my living room because it really just helps me to remember that I am just so blessed with the children that I have and the journey that I've had. It really helps me every single day. So I'm going to read this poem to you now. It's called Two Little Shadows and it's by author unknown. So nobody actually knows who wrote it. Well, I'm sure somebody somewhere must know who wrote it. But for now, the wider public do not know who wrote it. But it's a beautiful poem. I'm going to read it to you now. I saw a young mother with eyes full of laughter, and two little shadows came following after. Wherever she moved, they were always right there, holding on to her skirts, hanging on to her chair. Before her, behind her, an adhesive pair. Don't you ever get weary as day after day your two little tag-alongs get in your way? She smiled as she shook her pretty young head, and I'll always remember the words that she said. It's good to have shadows that run when you run, that laugh when you're happy and hum when you hum, for you only have shadows when your life's filled with sun. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that the most wonderful poem you've ever heard? I really like that poem because, you know, sometimes when a mum is struggling, and she says, oh, I'm really tired and I'm struggling, she'll be met with a lot of what we call toxic positivity, where people say, oh, well, at least you've got children, you know, you should be grateful for that. Saying that you are tired of parenting, saying that parenting is hard, does not mean you are not grateful for your children. And it's okay to say that parenting is hard. It's okay to share your struggles with your parenting journey. And what I love about this poem is that it's not about toxic positivity. She says, yes, there are shadows. She admits that there are shadows in her life and that it's difficult and that they run along after her and they get in her way and that they're always there. But she says that even though all of that, even though it is tough, your life is filled with sun. And she obviously loves these children with all of her heart, and she smiles and she laughs with them. And it just shows that it's okay to be tired of parenting, because it doesn't mean that you don't love your children. You can love your children and be tired of parenting, you know? And this also really reminds me of basically any time that I'm out on my own with both my children, right? And someone will stop and say, oh, you look like you've got your hands full. Like, I've only got 2 children, okay? And people will stop and say, oh, you've got your hands full. Yeah, and my standard response is always full hands and a full heart. You know, yes, I have my hands full with my 2 wonderful children that I am blessed to have, that I'm grateful to have, that I love with all my heart. And I love them, absolutely love them. But yeah, parenting is tough, and it's okay to say that. Absolutely okay to say that. So let's get into the actual main topic of today's episode, which is all about birth affirmations. So what actually is an affirmation? And I'm going to talk about affirmations in general to begin with, because affirmations are not just for birth, guys. Affirmations can be used in any area of your life. We know that affirmations are used by athletes, by sports people, to change the way that they feel about their achievements when it comes to sports. We know that affirmations are used by business people, by really high-flying, you know, multi-millionaire CEOs. They use affirmations to help with their mindset when it comes to business. I use affirmations every day when it comes to my parenting. My favourite affirmation at the moment is, they are not giving me a hard time, they are having a hard time. That's a really great affirmation, and make sure that you write that down and remember that for when you're parenting and you're having a tough time in the future. They are not giving me a hard time, they are having a hard time. It's a great one to remember. So you can use affirmations in literally any area of your life, and they help. And all they are is basically a positive statement that you will use in order to try and change the way that you view something or the way that you believe about something. And they are so powerful. There is a book by Dr. David Hamilton called It's the Thought That Counts. He's actually written a few books. They're all very good. And this one in particular is what I'm talking about right now. It's called It's the Thought That Counts. And Dr. Hamilton was a cancer drug researcher that basically became really fascinated with the placebo groups in his studies. So you'd have obviously the groups that were receiving the drug, and then you'd have the groups that were not receiving the drug, but they thought they were receiving the drug, and they would see just as many improvements in their health as the people that were receiving the drug. And so he became really fascinated with the power of thought, and how if you believe something works, then it can have a physical effect on your body. And in this book, he talks about the power of affirmation, and how a study showed that using affirmations actually helped a group of people to recover from illness faster than the people that weren't using affirmation. They were receiving the same treatment, the same drugs, as it were, for this illness. But the group that were using daily affirmations, that were improving their mindset with these affirmations, they recovered more quickly, which is absolutely incredible, just to demonstrate the power of positive affirmation. So a positive affirmation in and of itself is basically a positive statement that's structured in such a way to make you believe something. So you would always, when you're using a positive affirmation, you would always say, I, me, my. So you always make it about yourself, rather than listening or reading something that says you. It's much more powerful if you're saying I, me, or my, because it kind of helps to cement in this particular belief, this thing that you are taking in, this message. This is about you and your strength and your capability and your power. So you'd always have it in the present tense as well, because you're trying to take this on as a new reality. This affirmation you're trying to take on as a new reality for now, not something in the future. So you would never say something like, I will be strong, I will be capable, I will birth my baby with confidence. You say, I am strong, I am capable, I am confident. And that helps to cement it again a lot more quickly into your mind that this is something that you are capable of. This is a new reality for you. And you will always use a positive statement. So whatever it is that you are trying to change, you always change it around so that you are saying something positive to yourself rather than anti-negative. And by that I mean you wouldn't say something like, I am not scared, Because if you say, I am not scared, then you basically have to think about being scared in order to think about not being scared. I hope that makes sense. So again, you wouldn't say something like, birth is not dangerous, because you have to think about birth being dangerous in order to think about it not being dangerous. So you basically, to sum that up, you want a positive statement that says me, I, or my, and is in the present tense. So I'm going to give you a few examples of some positive birth affirmations right now, just so you get a little bit of an idea about what it is that I'm talking about. So you might say something like, I focus on the birth I want. I relax my jaw to relax my pelvis. I am relaxed and calm. I know I'll be meeting my baby very soon. So do you see how all those statements that I just said, all of those birth affirmations talk about me or I? They're all in the present tense and they're all positive statements. So you can use those statements over and over again to try and change the way that you feel about something. And there are loads of different ways that you can use positive birth affirmations as you're preparing for your positive birth journey. Loads of different ways. I've got a list right here. So one way is that you can write them down. So what I do with all of my private hypnobirthing clients is that I give them all blank postcards, little blank pieces of card, and I get them to write down a birth affirmation on each card that really resonates with them, because the act of writing something out, that can actually cement it into your mind a lot more quickly than just simply saying it. So writing it down is so powerful, particularly if you decorate this card. You can, do some nice watercolors or just do some drawings. Or if you're not particularly artistic, you don't have to have pretty decorations at all. You can literally just write the statement down on this piece of card. It doesn't even need to be a piece of card. You can write it on post-its. You can write it on post-it notes, and then just put them everywhere. Just put them where you're going to see these statements every day. As with everything when it comes to hypnobirthing, repetition is the key. So if you see these statements every day, several times a day, 20 times a day, then you are going to take that in as a core belief a lot more quickly. So have it like on the back of the bathroom door, have it on the fridge, have it on the door frame as you're leaving, like to go to work every morning. Just have these post-its or these cards put somewhere where you are going to see them several times a day. Another way that you can use them is you can have them on the lock screen of your phone, and that's something that I do. That I have parenting affirmations and health affirmations, just general well-being affirmations on the lock screen of my phone, because let's be honest, we all use our phones far too much. I look at my phone far more often than I should do. And so I see these affirmations all the time and I start to take them in as a core belief. Another thing that you can do is you can buy these really beautiful handmade affirmation cards on Etsy. And this is actually what I did. Well, sorry, I didn't. My husband actually bought me a beautiful pack of affirmation cards, kind of like as a little present, as a little surprise present for me when I was preparing for my home birth. And you can get some really beautiful packs done by really talented artists. And these are just beautiful cards that you just use kind of, every day. Have, again, the same with the post-its, have them all over the house. And then what I did was I actually had them in my birth space. I had a home birth and I had these little affirmation cards, these beautiful affirmation cards hung with these tiny little pegs on my curtains next to where I was going to have my birth pool. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. It just made my birth space so much more personal, so much more pretty. Absolutely loved it. Another way that you can use birth affirmations is you can write, I actually said this in an episode a couple of weeks ago where I was talking about ways to incorporate hypnobirthing into your everyday practice. And I talked about how you can write your affirmation in the shower steam. So when you're in the shower, if you've got one of those glass shower screens, you can write an affirmation every single morning when you're having a shower. Write your favorite affirmation in the shower steam. And that's a really great thing to do. You can also listen to these affirmations, and every single one of my hypnobirthing clients will receive an audio with hundreds of birth affirmations, and you just put this on in the background. You can actively listen to it if you want to, or you can just have it on in the background as you're driving, as you're doing housework, as you're working out. There are lots of different times that you can just listen to these birth affirmations and they just go in. You don't need to be consciously concentrating on them. Just the fact that your subconscious mind can hear them in the background will mean that it's taking in those messages as a core belief. You can even listen to them when you're asleep. They are that effective. Your subconscious mind will still hear these affirmations and will still start to take them in as a core belief. And the great thing about having them as an audio is that you can also listen to them actually during labour, particularly if there are some favourite affirmations that really, really help you, that you really, really resonate with, then you can have them actually playing as you are in labour. They're really calming. People find them really, really calming. So those are the ways in which I recommend that you use birth affirmations. And yeah, you can either find affirmations, on the internet. If you don't know kind of which ones resonate with you, if you need a bit of inspiration, you can find some that really resonate with you, or have a go at writing some affirmations yourself. They're much more powerful if you can write them yourself, if you can find something that's bothering you, some sort of a fear, some sort of a worry or an anxiety that you have, and then turn it around into something positive, turn it around into a positive affirmation, and that is so much more powerful. And I also found actually that writing out my affirmations in my journal as well, when I was doing my daily journaling practice, that also really, really helped to cement some of these beliefs, some of these statements into my subconscious mind as well. Just writing them out a few times a day in my journal, that really, really helped me as well. So I thought before I sign off today that I would share my top 3 favourite affirmations. These were my 3 favourite affirmations that I used during my pregnancy, the ones that I wrote out in my journal every day and that I had decorating my birth space. So the first one is, I am capable of doing difficult things. And this one really resonated with me in particular because as women, particularly as women about to go into the birth of our baby, everything about the way the maternity system is set up, about the way that society feels about birth, all the messages that we are fed are basically leading us to believe that we are weak, that we are feeble, that we can't do this, that our bodies need help to birth our babies. And that belief is just so weakening, and so actually this affirmation, I am capable of doing difficult things, that really spurred me on, that really gave me so much strength, and I really, really liked that. So that really, really helped me. My second favourite one was, each contraction brings me closer to meeting my baby. And again, I really, really, really love this because when you are in the throes of labour, as your active stages of labour progress and they're starting to get more intense, just remembering that once a contraction is done, you never have to do that contraction again. And each contraction is like a hurdle. Imagine it like one of those big hedges on the Grand National. Each hedge is bringing you closer to the finish line. Each hurdle is bringing you closer to meeting your baby. And it just reminds you what it is that you are doing this for. It reminds you why you are going through labour, what you're doing it for. You are doing it to meet that perfect little bundle of joy at the end of it. That is going to be your prize. That is your reward for what you're going through. So just remind yourself, each contraction brings me closer to meeting my baby. And my favourite one, my top one, my absolute favourite affirmation, I can do anything for 1 minute. I can do anything for 1 minute. I can do anything for 1 minute, okay? Because that's roughly how long a contraction lasts. And when you remind yourself that you can do anything for 1 minute, that really helps you just to remember in your mind that this sensation, this pain that I'm feeling right now, this is not going to last forever. Okay, it reminds you exactly what a contraction does. It builds up, it peaks, and then it flows away again, and it's only for a minute, and then it's done. Then you never have to do that contraction again. I can do anything for 1 minute because I am strong, I'm a badass, I'm birthing this baby. That's what you need to remember. Right, so that's all from me this week. I hope you've enjoyed learning about birth affirmations. If you would like to support my business and support the work that I do, then please do go and leave a review on whichever podcast platform you are listening to. Every single review, every single kind word about the podcast just means so much to me, and it really helps spread the word about hypnobirthing and the podcast. So I'm always grateful for all the reviews that you leave. If you could share a post on Instagram, that's always really helpful as well. That's the way to support me. And if you really, really want to support me, you can click the link down below and you can buy me a coffee. And I'm so grateful for those as well. I love creating the content on these podcasts. Absolutely love it. And each time someone buys me a coffee or sends me a little note saying they're enjoying the podcast, it just fills me with joy. It just makes me really, really happy. So thank you very much. Until next week, bye.